Aloha fellow collectors and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Luke Skywalker's Force Strike X-Wing from the epic World of Action Star Wars Power the Force line from Hasbro. Because if it's anything this line needed, it was a longer name. But I do think this looks like a pretty decent little X-Wing here. I got this from Target. Apparently they're starting to show up in Target stores. Target's kind of making like a little end cap area for May the 4th Be With You coming up this Sunday. And mine did not have that, but I was able to scan the tag that was like it was on the end cap, just that was empty. But I scanned the tag. It took me to the listing on the app, and I was able to order it from the app, and I got it in like a day and a half. So pretty excited to check this out. I think it looks pretty good for an X-Wing, decent size. You get a Luke Skywalker in flight suit figure here that I feel like looks general enough that if you wanted to pretend it was just another Rebel flight suit guy, you know, pilot, Rebel pilot, that's the word, you could. Like, I feel like it's not so distinctly Luke that you couldn't pretend it's someone else. Maybe the helmets are different and that's possible, but generic enough. But in any case, I do think this looks pretty cool. You can see we have kind of this open packaging here. You have the lasers here that will connect onto the S-foils of the X-Wing, with some crazy giant effect pieces there. Power of the Force is all about crazy giant effect pieces and lightning lightsabers. I don't know what's going on with them, but I think this looks pretty decent. If we spin around to the back, shows you that, of course, they can open up. R2's dome can spin, put him in the cockpit. There's a missile, because, of course, there has to be a missile. Yeah. So that's pretty much where we are with that. Pretty standard packaging. It looks like there's even missiles here firing from the engines, which is interesting. We'll see how that goes. So, oh, I see. This kind of extends out. Is this what we're doing here? Yeah, so it's not a firing missile. I don't know what's going on with that. We'll get into it. Let's get this thing out of the packaging and we'll take a closer look. So here is Luke Skywalker's Force Strike X-Wing fully assembled and out of the packaging. I'm just going to call it the X-Wing from now on. I don't really know what makes it the Force Strike X-Wing. They just have to add all these words to make everything seem more exciting, I guess. But anyway, let's take a look at the pilot first. We'll put the X-Wing off to the side for the moment and take a look at the pilot or Luke Skywalker figure, whichever you prefer. Like I said, I really don't think there's anything on here aside from the helmet, but I feel like the helmet's generic enough that if you wanted it to be someone else, you totally could. But it's a pretty decent figure, honestly. I think they did a pretty good job with the detailing. Now, they've painted the goggles like a solid gold, and so that way you can't see who's underneath. I will say, though, honestly, this will sound probably weird, but the molding there does kind of look like Mark Hamill's lower face, if I'm being honest. It's pretty good. I think the weird contour to the goggles is a little weird, and I'm not really sure. I guess maybe that is how they are. I don't really remember, but either way, it's a pretty good head sculpt. Head's on a ball joint, so you can look up, you can look down, tilt a little side to side, look side to side. Real nice range of motion there on the ball joint for the neck. In the shoulders, you have a hinge and a rotation. Same with the elbows, hinge and rotation. Nice black painted gloves there. That came out really good. It's got a little connector there on the side, kind of a remnant of the earlier days of this line where they used to have pieces that clipped on and crazy spring-loaded missile launchers and things, but they're still doing that. They're still putting the little holes in the side of the forearm as well as the big hole in the back. They actually painted the belt straps all the way around. I'm pretty impressed with that. All the way around the legs on the lower back there. Did not expect that. So the vest did not get the same treatment. You know, I understand. But we got that, and that's not bad. All the detailing here on the chest I think is pretty good. The paint is there. Again, would have loved if the white continued through, but I'll take what I can get. He comes with a little blaster. Just simply molded out of this black plastic. Fits into his hand pretty easily. No problem popping that in there. In terms of the waist, there is a ball joint here in the hip, like we've seen recently with this line. You can see the ball joint in there. So you can kick about that far out to the side. You can kick, I would say maybe 45 degrees, maybe slightly more forward. It won't be a problem to get him into the cockpit though. And then you do have a bend and a swivel at the knee as well. This is one solid piece, so there's nothing at like the boot cuff or the ankle or anything, but the boots look pretty good. They're nicely painted. Would have been nice if the little like bandolier around this boot was painted, but I understand. At least it's molded there, and it does look pretty good. So all in all, you know, for what essentially amounts to like a $10 figure, I'm pretty happy with this, honestly. I think it's good articulation, good molded detail. The paint's there. Could it have a little bit more paint? Sure, but it has certainly more than I expected. The accessory's good. All in all, I'm pretty happy with this. I think they did a pretty good job with the figure. Now I will move him off to the side, and we can take a look at this X-Wing. So I've kind of said this for years. I really love what they do with the vintage collection vehicles. They're beautiful, very nicely detailed, everything you could want. They're also crazy expensive. I mean, they're usually like $100 for an X-Wing in the vintage collection, sometimes more. This is $30 and it comes with a figure. So if we assume the figure is about $10, that makes this $20. And I think it's pretty good for a $20 X-Wing. If you just want a fun X-Wing to swoosh around and maybe display with some other vehicles, I don't think you'll be disappointed with this at all. It's got a decent heft to it. It's honestly heavier than I was expecting. I really thought this would be hollow and like a little cheesy. It's really not. I'm honestly pretty pleased. There is a little bit of assembly required. So these pieces, like basically this whole part of the wing, is not attached in the box, but you just clip them in. They snap in. Very solid. These pieces you can actually take off pretty easily. You can see how they have just the connectors there that just pop onto these pegs. They just slide on and they stay very secure. But it's also nice if you do have to store this thing, it's not impossible to take some of these pieces off to make it a little bit easier for storage. So I do appreciate that. You can see here, nice painted detail because he's red 5. He's got the red hash marks. Now, if you wanted to buy a bunch of these and pretend they're other X-Wings to make like a squadron, you could probably custom paint some of these off or change them around or just ignore it. It's up to you. But because he is red 5, that's why it does have the red hash marks, in case you didn't know, the red squadron. But yeah, honestly, it's a good X-Wing. Now, let's keep going with positives. So you got some nice paint here on the side. I think this yellow here on the top looks nice. All of this kind of molded detail is good. I think the canopy looks good. That's nicely painted. You can pop this open relatively easily. Opens well. You can see you got the seat there on the inside. There's a ton of space down in there. So you really have no trouble getting the figure in there. If you wanted to use a vintage collection or other, 3 3/4 inch, 5 inch figure, you probably wouldn't have too much trouble getting them in there. R2 is here on the top. Now, it's just the head, but you can kind of see how they molded it, so you can kind of see the tops of his legs, like he's actually sitting in there, but of course he's not removable. You can swivel the dome side to side, and they painted him well enough. I'm pretty happy with the paint job they gave him all the way around, which is nice. Technically they probably should have painted this little part black and not left it blue, but I'm fine with it. I really don't have any problem with that. You have a little landing gear here, which you can flip up. Now, to be honest, it doesn't really matter if it has the landing gear or not. There's so much weight back here that it's not going to make a bit of a difference. But it's nice that they included it. So, where is it? Back here. You can flip that out, and then he can sit on there, and that looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, honestly, pretty good. Oh, I didn't even open the S-foils yet. So how this works, there's no like spring-loaded gimmick or anything like that, which probably in the long run is better. But you just kind of push these open. Now, you are going to want to kind of do both sets at the same time, because if you try to push on just one, it's probably going to fight you, and the wings might pop off, but you can pop them right back on. But you just push this And they open about that wide, which I feel like is good. I feel like that's appropriate. And yeah. So you have kind of a decent profile here on the side. Obviously, it's not going to make sense to have the landing gear down. Now you can see here there is a spring-loaded missile shooter. I'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, all in all, pretty good. I'm pretty happy with this. I think it's nice. And then just kind of push these back down. You even have the little tips of the engines back here that have been painted. Or I think actually that's just a different color plastic. Yeah, different color plastic. But yeah, all in all, I think the positives definitely outweigh the negatives. There are a few negatives, but they're not that big of a deal. So as I mentioned before, we do have the spring-loaded missile. I feel like it's pretty decently integrated, though. I mean, honestly, from some angles, you can't even see it. You don't even know it's there until you kind of get underneath here, and you can see it kind of integrated. You get 2 of these missiles. You could pop that in there, and then you just hit this button on the top. And then it fires pretty decently. So if you're looking for something that's like really screen accurate, obviously that's this. They didn't have these, so you're gonna have this little missile part, and you can't remove it. It is built in. But like I said, it's pretty nicely tucked away, and from certain angles you can't even see it. The feature that I think is the dumbest is on the top engines on both sides. You have this big chunk of translucent blue plastic that you slide like this. And then I guess that's supposed to look like a weird blue loogie is shooting out at something. I don't know. I don't know why we needed this, honestly. I feel like you have the guns on the end of each wing, which have these effect pieces, which are fine. You have the spring-loaded missile gimmick. I don't know why these were necessary. And honestly, I wish I could take it out, but because of the way it's built, you can't. So that is integrated in there, and honestly, that is my biggest sadness with this X-Wing. It's definitely not ruining the whole thing for me. It's not. It's just a little weird. I don't know why it was needed. I would have been very, like, if everything else being the same, this just looked, you know, like these engines looked the same and that weird blue piece just wasn't there, I would have been fine. I don't know what that's doing. Like, it's not even like a flick fire missile. It just pops out to there, and I don't know what purpose that serves. So again, seems unnecessary. Don't really care for it. Is it ruining this for me? No. I'll just leave it in and maybe just pretend they're ion cannons or something. I don't know. Try just to ignore them. The other thing that kind of disappointed me, on the packaging, it makes it look like these effect pieces are removable, and I don't think they are. I've really tried. You can kind of spin them, which is weird, but I've really tried to pull them off, and they don't seem to want to come off. So that's a bit of a bummer, because the packaging definitely made it seem like they could come off. And if someone else is able to get them off, please tell me what you did, because ultimately I would like to take them off. But I'm afraid I'm just going to break this piece by trying to do it, so they just have to stay. So, honestly, I would say, I keep thinking this is farther back than it is. 90% of this is pretty great, when you consider that it's about $20 to $25 in value, depending on what you want to value the figure at. And I haven't even shown you with him inside, but it's very simple to do. You just pop his legs in his, as much as he can, sitting position. Open up the cockpit, and he pretty much just glides right in. No issues. And close him up. And there he is, flying around, looking good. So yeah, honestly, there's a lot to like here. Like I said, if you just want a fun, swooshable X-Wing to play with, or display that can hold a figure and looks decent, this set for $30, I really feel like you're not going to do much better. When I think back to the $30 N1 Starfighter that we got for Mando, that was much worse compared to this. At the time, I was like, okay, this is fine. You know, it's an N1 Starfighter. It looks the part. It fits Mando and Grogu. It's fine. But I like this one so much better. And if they're just going to keep getting better, I would be very excited. Like, this reminds me of the 90s Power of the Force style vehicles. They were reasonable price. They looked good. This one doesn't even have stickers you have to apply. All that Power of the Force stuff had so many stickers. These are all paint applications. If you guys know me at all, I hate stickers. I love paint applications. So, yeah, this is fun. Honestly, if these go on sale or clearance, I might get one or two more and build a little fleet because I like it. I really do. I mean, I didn't think I wasn't going to like it, but I'm pleasantly surprised with how much I like it. The figure, I think, is very good for the price. Like I said, it's just vague enough that if you just want to pretend it's, a random generic Rebel pilot, I feel like you could. Now, R2 is a dead giveaway, and so are the 5 hash marks, but, there's a little bit of suspension of disbelief. But yeah, it's fun. I really like it. I think it looks good. I think the figure's good. The wings open up well. I don't even mind the little spring-loaded missile down here because I feel it's hidden fairly well. I'd love to be able to take these effect pieces off, but at the end of the day, that's not killing me either. It's really just these weird blue loogie things. I don't really know what these space boogers are doing shooting out of here. I don't get it. I don't know what they're supposed to be. I don't know why they're housed in one of the engine blocks. I don't know what's going on with it. But again, I don't think it's a bad enough thing to ruin your good time here. I think for the price, this is a pretty solid, like I said, it's got a heft to it. It's a good X-Wing. And I don't think you can beat the price. If it goes on sale, you're practically stealing it. I think this is a good time. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, thank you for watching, and may the 4th be with you.